take any questions from voters, Governor? Governor, how come you're not taking questions from voters?
God's coming up to me, talk to me. What are you talking about? I'm not here working with people. Are you blind?
What?
Are you blind?
I'm not blind.
Okay, so people are coming up to me, talking to me, whatever they want to talk to me about.
Governor.
Oh, Ron DeSantis, what a way you have with people.
Indeed.
Not a good way. So Ron DeSantis snapped at a reporter in New Hampshire who asked why he wasn't taking questions from constituents, responding to him, "Are you blind?" Now, although DeSantis was casually stopping and chatting with members of the crowd on his way out, he didn't accept any questions from the audience after his speech, nor did he speak publicly with the crowd. So as you all have probably been following, DeSantis has been caught on camera getting snippy with reporters several times in the past few weeks, and lucky for you, we have that footage.
During your time at Guantanamo, did you witness any incidents?
No, none. All that's BS. No, totally BS.
Governor DeSantis say you were present during those meetings. Is that?
Who said that?
Detainees have told us that.
How would they know me? Okay, think about that. Do you honestly believe that's credible? So this is 2006. I'm a junior officer. Do you honestly think that they would have remembered me from Adam? Of course not. They're just trying to get into the news because they know people like you will consume it because it fits your preordained narrative.
Governor, a poll show you falling behind Trump. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not a candidate, so we'll see if and when that changes. I'm not a candidate, so we'll see if and when that changes.
Can I just say that if someone was responsible for torturing me, I think I would remember their face and name for the rest of my life. If someone sat in the room while I was being force-fed food to break up a hunger strike and was sitting there smiling at me, I think I would remember that person for the rest of my life, no matter how much time has passed. But
facts. If there's anything, sometimes I forget like people's names. I'll be forgetting everybody's names, but you're definitely not gonna forget something like that for sure. But continue, because I'm just gonna go on and on.
Yeah, and we'll get there. But yeah. I think at this point, the hardest obstacle DeSantis has to overcome is how goddamn unlikable he is. And fortunately for all of us, New York Magazine compiled a list of DeSantis's long reported social faux pas. And let's start with this headline. He ignored a staffer during a long car ride. In May 2021, Politico reported that DeSantis is such a terrible boss that his former staffers formed a support group that meets regularly to trade war stories about their time working for him. And we'll move on, but just 1 second. I have to say that if I found out that my editors and my producers had to form a support group to talk about how awful I was, I think that would give me some pause.
Give you some type of a framework to go off of, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, right. This is, at least I know what I need to work on, but
Not if you're DeSantis.
No, definitely not.
But so the staffer who he ignored in the car ride spoke to Vanity Fair and said, and quoting from New York Mag, a former congressional staffer told Vanity Fair, quote, "I once had to drive him to the airport. We got stuck in traffic for an hour. He didn't say a word," they added. "I described him as having the personality of a piece of paper." And it's not just the staffers that have their complaints. His Republican colleagues also have complaints, particularly that he rarely says hi or bothers to learn their names. Trott, a Michigan Republican, reached out to Politico to go off on his former colleague's rudeness. He said, "I go to my first House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing early, and DeSantis showed up right at the gavel time and didn't say hello or introduce himself," Trott said. "And then the next hearing, the same thing happened. I think the third time it happened, I thought, oh, this guy's not ever going to say hello to me." Now, I don't think Ron DeSantis is going to become president of the United States. I don't think he's going to get the Republican nomination. I think that he is a deeply concerning person. I think that he's a potentially worse president than Trump, more scary as a prospect than Trump, because he's shown a willingness to just burn everything down. And I think that he has a level of competency when it comes to actually legislating that Trump didn't have. that makes him scarier to me in that regard. I think though that what he absolutely lacks, it's going to be his downfall, is political instincts and personability. This is not someone that is relatable. This is someone who's like deeply disturbed, a deeply disturbed individual that people aren't going to relate to, and you're not seeing that same sort of, I don't want to call it grassroots because I think that's a bit of a misnomer for what Trump has, but that same sort of groundswell of support that Trump.
Yeah. And two, I think one of the differences is, and one of the things that I pointed out is that Trump, if you just love him or hate him, one of the things that we have to do, especially working in politics, is kind of remove ourselves emotionally so that we can just look at things from a lot of angles. And Trump's funny. Trump is charismatic. He is. If you don't hate him, he is. And even if you don't like him, it's great watching him rip people like Ron DeSantis apart. Why? Because he's funny. Because you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, that is a lot of what drives the support that his base still has for him, is the fact that he's entertaining. But what you pointed out importantly is that Ron DeSantis' personality is really going to get in his way, not just in this election, but moving forward. In fact, what did Trump say? He needs a personality transplant. As far as I know, those aren't available yet, or something like that. But there was videos of him literally like wiping his nose and then touching people's shoulders. And then there was this guy who said, I drove over an hour out here to come see you. And Ron literally was kind of like, oh, thanks for doing that, and turned away. But the bottom line is that Ron DeSantis is very uncomfortable with people, and he can't hide it. And the longer that people are in front of him, you can see the discomfort building up. And that's where a lot of that snappiness comes from, because he's trying to deal with his anxiety. He's trying to quell it. He's trying to get rid of it. The fake smiles that he does, the laughs, all of that's really going to get in the way, not just versus somebody like Trump, but also just in general, because in a leadership position, you have to have social skills. But then also policy wise, everything he has going against him, the losing battle with Disney, even if there's a Republican governor after him immediately, they're going to end that war. The 6-week abortion ban that he signed immediately after the 12-week abortion ban, his war against the queer community, his war against teachers and books, the migrant issue that's causing a labor shortage with thousands of people. And I could keep going, but I've been talking for quite some time now. So let me go ahead and be quiet.
I think that Ron DeSantis looks like an alien who's in a play about what it's like to be a person, who has no actual idea like how to communicate. It's as if he's never met a person in his life. Every time,
from Men in Black, the little people in the
right,
and they're like, oh, like he just in there dying.
That's exactly what it is.